you can retrieve that information if you have deleted it. So the policy we are proposing is deleting every possible footprint that you leave on the internet. And then also the point about NOTs, it's about safety. If you take, for example, the NSA example, we all know about that. So you have the opportunity to get your privacy back, and then it protects you from sexual predators, because these sexual predators see your footprint on the internet, and they misuse this information. Then secondly, for further safety reasons, confidentiality. When WikiLeaks, examples like WikiLeaks, people who have vital information about things that put their lives in danger have the protection, if they have the chance, to delete this footprint they leave on the internet. And then also erase previous life stages. If you have a crazy ex, like these are okay. Some people are married. You find a condition where a person becomes they are normal their whole lives, and then they have this type of depression that makes you crazy and makes you lose touch with reality. This is a true life story. Okay, so if they go over 40, they lose touch with the reality. And if a person that is married to a person like this decides to divorce this person, for example, this person, the crazy one, if you want to break all bonds with this person can still find you through your internet footprint. So it's for safety reasons that you don't want this person to find you if you want to start over a new life. And also to get rid of, if you have a traumatic experience, people that have a traumatic experience doesn't want to get reminded of it, but through people who trace their footprints and find deleted photos or something and come back and blackmail them or whatever they want to use against this person. And then also we're giving people the opportunity to have a choice, so that we can erase this permanence of things that is caused by the stages you go through life in creating a permanent footprint that you maybe regret later in your later stages of life.
We thank the Deputy Prime Minister. We now call on the Deputy Leader of Opposition.
Hey. Madam Speaker, we live in a society where people have actually become, the people actually using the internet, have become so entangled with it that their life is so interspersed into what the internet proves for them to be. The internet provides, lately, the internet provides who you are, professionally, socially, and politically. We say that people have actually manifested their opinions and who they are in the virtual world to an extent that people can submit them just like that. We have consensus here to that point. I'm going to say to you why I'm going to prove to you why, especially on the internet, accountability is crucial. We believe that that policy is promoting, first of all, little to no accountability. I'm going to deal with the 5-year policy a little bit later on. And the mentality of, I'm refreshing my social and my professional identity by the click of a button. Today, we're not talking about people being held accountable. We're not talking about people being held accountable for maybe watching porn once, right? We're talking about people maybe accidentally writing dick instead of dish. We're talking about people who are actually actively being racist, misogynist, or actually being very discriminative, very insulting on the internet. Just to have some clarity here on the comments versus the internet footprint, right? We say it's really easy that if someone finds something offensive, as like whatever the case may be, I just remove a comment. Right? That's true. But it can never, ever, first of all, be removed out of that person's mind in the first place. The thing is, when I have a mentality of, oh goodness, I'm still going to be held accountable to an extent because somewhere in the 97% he talked about, my comment is still floating around somewhere, I just might be deterred. When I know that I can press a button, I don't have the mentality anymore, and I'm going to prove that to you a little bit later on. First, a few points of rebuttal. So, we heard from OG here that he shouldn't be held accountable for the things in the past, right? That was both of their arguments, and they're both team line. We say no to this, because if you did something wrong in the past, like steal or murder or defamate for that case, you are being held accountable, not just for a month afterwards to punish you. In some cases, it's for life. We can't have government have the mentality of, you shouldn't be held accountable for the things you've done in the past, right? Here's why. This is why government implement things like this, because it gives you a greater responsibility to know that what I'm doing now I can be held accountable for in the future. We say it's a bigger deterrent. Then we also say that, there's points here surrounding stalkers, right? We say that might be the case. We just still don't think that them taking these drastic measures just for the sake of actually stopping stalkers is good enough, right? Because we say that there are some measures to actually deter it. Then in terms of this, the point of people being judged. And this is actually also going to be in this first, in my positive matter, but I'd like to deal with this first. They said that when you are, they use the words, all boys watch porn at some stage. We say that people, if it is a societal norm in the first place, people won't be judged for it, because everybody's doing it. Right? We also, in the second point, we would also argue that if they have a problem, if society has a problem with boys watching porn, or grannies watching porn, or whatever the case may be, at the age of 13, we would argue that that's something we would want to deter, actively do, and not give them a button to just take that away. Right, first argument here, and this is going to hash on to what I just said, is that you're not dealing with the root causes of the problems that you identified. Because we see that we are actively dealing with people who are defamating and calling people ad hominem things, or really morally reprehensible things on the internet. They're insulting, they're promoting homophobia, racism, misogyny, and you've got 13-year-olds that masturbate. The thing is, you're giving a back door to these guys, right? And then they brought us, listen to this, the NSA issue. Madam Speaker, this is the point we're getting to. Because according to your policy, the US smiles and they press a button and nobody knows what Edward Snowden and Julian Assange is actually saying, right? There's no accountability, reality check. Here's our problem. They still spy on you, right? So we're not really dealing with the root causes here, just with we can do whatever we want to, we're going to still spy on you, we're going to still masturbate at the age of 12, we're still going to do things we're not supposed to, and we just press a button and it will be removed. Second argument here, before I get to it, Martin.
Do you think that a person can change and that his history can catch up to him in his future?
Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, I proved to you that people must be held accountable for what they did in the past because it's just fair in the first place and it deters them to a big extent. Because according to your question, people who are reformed after 1 year, rehabilitated in prison after 1 year, should be taken out of prison after 1 year, right? We say that that's not right. My second argument here is we are who we are on the internet. We see, in terms of your social identity, you voice your opinions of what you think about the Oscar case, for instance, or what you think your friend did is right or wrong or cool. You post photos of it, right? We say that Facebook has actually been such an accurate summation of who you are. We say that politically, you are voicing your discontent, for instance, of Nkandla on Twitter or on Facebook. You're liking the DA on Facebook, for instance. We say professionally, we see that people actually join LinkedIn, for instance, where people, employees, can actively trace that what they do. We say that you've been so entangled that who you are to the internet, in the internet, that who you are on the internet actually proves to us as society where that who you are on the internet is actually who you are in reality. We say that that's in the case of people who actually use it. Here's the thing, that you're promoting a refresh button. We say that isn't really reality, because although you might be a certain person on the internet, you having the mentality, albeit every day or 5 years, that I can do what I want to. I can be the person I want to be on the internet. But when I did something wrong, I can just press the refresh button. We say that you having the mentality of, I will insult you in real life, and having to deal with the repercussions. And you saying that I will insult you over the internet, and I can just remove it whenever I want to, isn't the same thing. It's not promoting the same thing. And therefore, we are more than proud to oppose this motion. Thank you.
Let's get by him.
We thank the Deputy Leader of Opposition. We now call on the Member of Government. Ja.
Gewoon wil ik niet zo aanpakken. Kijk, dan hebben we dat zo'n 2 seconden beloven.
Right, so inside government, what we're saying is the following. That people tend to make mistakes somewhere in their lives. People make bad decisions. Things happen to people. They don't necessarily want to happen to them, but those things happen. And in a society where everything is digitalized and there's this history of what happened to you, we think that's a bad thing. If you don't have the choice to actually delete that and take it out of your history, that thing that was once a bad choice, that thing that happened to you that you didn't necessarily want to happen to you, that thing that it doesn't catch up to you in your future and actually harm the things in your future for you, okay? That's what we're standing for. The option to delete that browsing history or to delete that social media profile that could damage your future if that's your choice, okay? Before I could get into two key questions. First of them being, why is it so important to us now? And secondly, why is it a problem that a person can decide who he is perceived to be? Those two key questions. I'd like to touch on a few points of rebuttal, okay? So we had two arguments on the side of the opposition. First of them being accountability, and the second of them being accurate, okay? And I don't think tracking someone on a social media profile or a browsing history is accountable or accurate. And let me tell you why. First off, accountability, okay? If someone says something that isn't a crime, okay, and no one sees it, that's not a problem. He deletes it immediately because he isn't damaging anyone. If no one sees it, he deletes it immediately. Okay, so we don't see that to be a problem. Okay? If someone actually posts someone and someone sees it who is important, directly connected to that person, so if it could damage a person by someone, okay, then it is going to get to that person at some stage in time. Let's take the Kevin Peterson example you said. The people know who Kevin Peterson was, so they will still be able to hold him accountable for it, okay? They know what he said in the social profile and be able to go to it. But if Kevin Peterson has the option to delete that page, that won't catch up to him in the future. No curator further on in the future is going to look back at Kevin Peterson and say, oh, if I'm not going to choose him, then he's going to discriminate again. Because we say that Kevin Peterson may be enraged at that stage in time. And I don't think he should be judged in the future for having one moment in his life where he was enraged and made a bad decision, okay? At that stage in time, the people affected should be able to hold him accountable, but not in future times when people don't know the circumstances which we're in, okay? Second thing, there was this whole idea of primes, and they mentioned Snowden, and if anything, I think that Snowden should have been the one person who shouldn't be held accountable, because I actually think they did a good thing, okay? But let's take Snowden. Let's take the fact of having a bank account somewhere in Slovenia, or not Slovenia, but like in Maldives or somewhere where you store your fraud money. Let's think of someone like leaking documents like Snowden, okay? Let's think of someone committing a crime and actually going to a house and murdering someone. What I'm telling you, and that was my POI as well, there are more concrete things of holding people accountable for their crimes. The murder weapon, the leaked documents, the bank account with the fraudulent money in it. Because of social media profile, people tend to say things that they don't really mean. They say things out of emotions, okay? And they do, and say things that they're going to do which they don't necessarily do. I mean, if the police had to track every single murder threat, okay, they would be so damn busy they wouldn't actually be caught catching anyone. And I say that one murder threat that they did actually caught on a social media profile, that person was stupid and was the absolute minimum people say I'm actually going to murder someone now. It's the absolute minimum people who's going to post that. And what I'm telling you is there are more concrete ways of meaning that, okay, of searching for people. And if someone made a comment about murdering someone, okay, and he didn't do that, then we shouldn't hold him accountable for it, because at the end of the day, that wasn't a problem. Okay, second point is this point of accuracy, and I think if there's one thing, a social media site isn't accurate, because people aren't in those circumstances. They can take things out of context, and they can misunderstand that thing, because you know what? People aren't sitting there and thinking of this themselves. That's why many of the fights on Facebook start, okay? I'll be with you now. And what I say is, it isn't as easy to solve those problems and forgive those problems, because they are permanent, okay? And because they are everlasting. They are public. People will be able to go and look back at those things because they are forever there. And that is the reason why it is so difficult for us and why we think that they should be able to delete this.
I'm on my way to Africa. I hope I don't get AIDS. Oops, refresh button. Tell me, how do you curb this mentality? How do you hold that person accountable?
Okay, so let's get to that, okay? On my way to Africa about to get AIDS. If he posted that and deleted it immediately, that's not a problem. If he continues, okay, and no one sees it, then it's not a problem, okay? Which doesn't go against anyone. But if he continues to do this, okay, if he continues to make discriminating comments, if he continues to do these type of things, someone, somewhere is going to see that person before he's able to take that off, and someone is then going to be able to hold that person accountable, okay, if he keeps on doing that. What we're trying to protect is that one person who made a mistake in his life and is given the option to clear that. If the person continues to do that, someone will see him and someone will hold him accountable somewhere, sometime, okay? He can't just keep on doing those things on a social media profile and no one will see him hold him accountable ever, okay? 2 points. Why first impressions are so important. Let's take into consideration the fact that the society we're living in, where everything is globalized, and people, if they want to see what type of person they are, they don't actually come up to you and walk to you and start to talk to you. They actually just go to your profile and they immediately know what type of person you are, or at least they think they do because they know what type of movies you like, okay? So what I'm saying is your life is literally globalized, and people have easy access to there's easy access to your profile by the whole society, okay? So if people want to know what type of work you are, if they're applying for a job, they go into your profile, and you know what? They're seeing photos of you being drunk when you're 21. If you have a love life and your wife goes into your history and sees that you watched porn when you were 20, okay? Then she sees that. What I'm telling you now is that that person who's applying for a job now, who's in a relationship now, is not necessarily the person that he was 20 years back, okay? He's not necessarily the same person who made that one bad decision then. I'll take a point from closing if I have one. Who made that one bad decision that is not necessarily the same person. I'm listening.
Don't you believe if I raped a child 6 years ago, I should still be, people should still know?
I do. I don't think, however, that a post on Facebook is going to solve that fact that you actually raped a child. I think actually catching you while doing the rape and putting you in jail for that is what's going to hold you accountable. I don't think you should be held accountable for a post that you made on a social media network, but actually for your browsing history, okay? Because at the end of the day, those things could have been a mistake, okay? And at the end of the day, you don't want people to be able to judge you, okay? Second point, and that is another thing why it is so important for us to change this, okay? If you're not happy with the person that you are now, okay, you should be able to change the perception what people have of you, the person that you are to be. Taking into consideration that people literally judge you on your profiles, you should be able to change that perception, because it is so important to our social life to be able to give a perception of good, healthy perception out in a social profile media, because that is how people get to know you, that is how people communicate, that is how relationships start in the technological age that we are now. And that is basically our extension. This idea that taking into consideration the fact that the age in which we are living now, okay, it is of inherent importance to us to be able to decide what type of person you want people to see you to be. Because if they see on your profile and can be able to trace you back to one mistake that you made, okay, they judge you upon that. They don't judge you and get to know you upon the person that you are now, okay? They judge you on that mistake. And that is why it is so important for us now to be able to get back to that sense where people get to know you on the right foot, okay? And we are able to get that image of you outside, which we would like people to have an image of you, okay? We stand for 2 points. First of all, that is important to us for in this civilization, which is technological, to change that profile. Because they need to change the person and be the person they want to be. Because that is so